What's going on, warriors? It's your boy, Lionheart, and feels good. I'm feeling good. I hope you guys are feeling good, and we're about to get in this one. Oh man, X-Men 97 peak. First of all, how you doing? I hope you guys are doing good. I'm doing good. Yeah, man, just trying to do it every day, man. Get through it and just have a good time while I'm trying to get through the day, man. One day at a time. I hope you're doing the same and enjoying it too. And we're going to enjoy this one. Good vibes, positive vibes. X-Men 97. 10 out of 10. Every single episode, there was no waste, no filler, no nonsense, just absolute peak storytelling, character development, world building, nostalgia, and just meaningful visual stimuli. Oh man, I'm breaking out the complicated words here. Oh, episode 1. They showed Scott Summers more respect than I've seen that character given in my life. I've never seen Scott Summers, aka Cyclops, given that much respect and character development. Man, I felt like I saw so many dimensions of Cyclops, Scott Summers, leader, father, husband, conflicted individual, vengeful man, complete story arc character. I'm so happy. I was hoping they would nail it, and they went past anything I could expect. They surpassed my expectations. Exceeded it. Far exceeded it. And you saw it even in this one, like even when I saw in this X-Men where the first sequence with Cyclops, and the way he was using his optic blast just to move about the battle, because he was fighting like people, right? And to save Sunspot from some mutant kidnappers, right? Like the way he was using his optic blast just to hit people but not kill them, yeah, or hurt them, just to concussive blast them away, right? But also use it to move about the people. Amazing. We got to see pretty much straight off that we're going to be dealing with the Sentinels and Master Mold again, and they're trying to steal the mutant powers and oppress the mutants. And Jean was pregnant. They showed us that Jean was pregnant pretty straight away. And then from when I saw Jean was pregnant, I want to know, okay, so that's where we're going. We're getting Nathaniel. Cable is Nathaniel. Because we have 3 now there's a kind of like a special arc that goes on in this, right? Scott Summers, Jean Grey, Nathaniel Summers, Nate Grey has got to come, and Nathan Essex. Yeah. Nate Grey's coming. He's got to. They've got to bring that character in. Yeah. Of course, we all know that Nathaniel Summers is Cable. Nate Grey is X-Man. And Nathan Essex is Sinister. Nathaniel, Nate, Nathan. There is a synergy there. Because without Sinister, Cable would actually be legitimately Jean Grey's son. But he's not. because Sinister cloned Jean Grey, a perfect clone, swapped her out, and she was the one that had the baby that was Cable. Nate Grey is a creation of Sinister using Scott and Jean's genes to make the perfect human. What Sinister wanted Cable to be was X-Man. And X-Man is basically like Reed Richards' son. Yeah, he basically can alter reality. Yeah, because Sinister's obsessed with Scott and Jean because of all the genes that he's analyzed in the world. Scott and Jean have the potential to create the most powerful mutant in existence. That's why Sinister is so obsessed with those two, right? Because he's obsessed about genetics, right? That's what the thing about Sinister. He's like an adaptable mutant. Whenever he gets into a conflict with anyone or anything, whatever he gets hurt by, he'll never get hurt by it again, because he will alter his body to be able to deal with whatever trauma he was introduced to. I knew Sinister was coming. The moment I saw Jean Grey was pregnant, I was like, they've got to bring in Sinister, and they did. And they did that arc. Amazing, man. And then they found out that Jean wasn't Jean. You know, she was like a clone, and then she got into like, she went berserk, and then she was just like, threw the whole X-Men into chaos, using her telepathy and telekinesis and her powers and everything. And she's Madeline. Yeah, that's what she named herself. But that did happen in the comics, right? We're not going to do comics and animation comparisons here, because we'll be here all day, right? But that did happen. But the thing is, what I remember is Jean killed Madeline. Yeah, but they changed it in this one. But, you know, unfortunately, yeah, Madeline does die in this. She does, which is sad. But you can't have her stay when there's no place for her in this world, man. We got Jean. She served her purpose, and it sucks to say that, but it's true. It's true. She'll serve more purpose in death than she will in life, because there's two of the same person. I can't stand Sinister. He get everything that he had coming to him, he got. I'm so happy, man. But yeah, because he cloned her, and then they saved Jean, right? And then that was like a crazy like episode, and you saw Mojo, but then it was kind of like a arc with Jubilation and Sunspot. Yeah, I like how they gave Sunspot a lot of airtime, right? Because he's like a powerful mutant, an important mutant, but he just doesn't get enough mainstream airtime. So it's nice to get to know Sunspot, and the world gets to see Roberto, you know. And they were introduced because they got like a video game. He's hanging out with Jubilation, and of course Mojo had something to do with it. And Mojo is the ruler of like I could call it like a realm, yeah. The Mojoverse. And the thing is with Mojo is, the more people believe in Mojo and support Mojo and, you know, cheer for Mojo, the more power he gets. It's like, imagine if he was like a deity, yeah, or something like that, and people worshipped him, yeah. He gets more power from people worshipping him, right? A little bit like, well, not like, you know the way magic works with Limbo. It's like that. And because Mojo is, we're not going to go deep into it, yeah, but Mojo is a villain in the Longshot universe, yeah. And they did show Longshot. We saw Spiral, we saw Longshot, we saw Sauron. We still was like, this show didn't hold back, man. You got a rogues gallery of villains. You got an entire incredible, godlike, encyclopedia worth of incredible mutants and Marvel characters use it. They used it, man. It was so good, bro. And then even when they were dealing with Mojo, they were stuck in like a video game because he sucked them into the video game, right, mentally and stuff like that. And in Mojo's world, if you die in his world, the Mojo verse, you die in real life, right? So the animation was kind of like a side-scrolling beat 'em up. Yeah, and the music had like 90s music, and it's kind of like an old, like a early thousands, like late 1990s scrolling beat 'em up game. And the music, it was kind of like X-Men Children of the Atom kind of like graphics, pixelated graphics. The people that made this show know what's up, man. Oh man, I really feel they cared so much. They really did, man. And you got to see like Wolverine and Morph's friendship, right? Like their relationship that they have with each other. Yeah, it was good, man. It was good, right? I mean, but even after that episode, right, they went back to showing the repercussions of what happened with Sinister, right? Because, you know, that what happened with Sinister, he kidnapped, we didn't kidnap, right? But after the clone version of Jean realized she was a clone, she lost it. She went crazy. She didn't know who she was because she's a clone. She's a clone of one of the most powerful telepaths in the entire world. Jean Grey doesn't know where she begins and where she ends, and Madeline, who's the clone of Jean Grey, doesn't know where she starts and where she begins, because they kind of like share senses, because they're like one in the same being, right? So they experience the same things. So even though Jean wasn't pregnant with Cable, she experienced the whole psychological, emotional experience of being pregnant that Madeline went through, because they're both one and the same person. Although they're different people, they're separate people, but they're connected through their telepathy and, you know, the blood, right? One and the same person. So it's like, I think it's like episode 5, it kind of went back to that, and you saw like the aftermath, because, you know, Jean had come back, and Jean and Scott were kind of like, they didn't understand each other. They were like conflicted because they had to let Sinister kidnap Cable, Nathaniel, and he got like a technovirus because Sinister tried to put him in some type of techno-organic virus liquid to make him into like a super mutant, right? From birth, when he was a child. But when Scott and Jean found Scott and Nathaniel, Cable, broke him out of the thing that Sinister was doing, they saw like the techno-organic virus was going crazy. Thankfully, Bishop was there. He said, I can save him, but I have to take him into the future. And that's how Cable is in the future, right? So when it was episode 5, they went back to that, right? And then you saw it was kind of like splintered off, and that's when you saw like the relationship between Gambit, Magneto, and Rogue. Gambit, Magneto, Rogue. Because Gambit and Rogue are together, but they can never be physically together because of Rogue's abilities. But then Rogue has a past with Magneto, romantic past with Magneto, right? But she could touch Magneto, and Magneto's back. Because when Xavier left, of course, he left the whole Mutant Academy and the X-Men to Eric, Magneto, or Max, right? So they left it to him, right? And yeah, so it was like kind of like crazy, man, right? And then they kind of they were like, you know, because the humans, like the world, United Nations of the world or whichever, they were trying to get Magneto because of damage that he had caused to the world. which he did, man. He was an extremist, right? Because that, he believed that the mutants are the superior race, right? And his hatred of humans, right, is an infinite pit of just violence and sorrow and sadness because of what they did to his family. The oppression that he has grown up seeing of mutants, the disrespect, the murder, the oppression of mutants that he has seen and that he's experienced firsthand, the experimentation, that the mutants are not even treated essentially like they're living human beings, like they're living creatures, right? So imagine from a young age you seeing that. So that's why Magneto is the way he is. And it's like a vicious cycle. Magneto is not having any of it. He take the extreme route, where Xavier take the passive route, yeah? Where even though tolerance is not acceptance, Xavier will deal with the tolerance. And he pray with hard work, eventually, the tolerance will turn to acceptance. Whereas Magneto won't have none of it, yeah? None of it. He's like, Genosha, Asteroid M, mutants are at the top. Screw these guys. They murder us. We murder them. Right? So it's like, that's why, like, mutants is the X-Men. It's always where Magneto and Xavier are always like the main characters, because essentially things evolve around these two people's philosophies of how they want to move in this world and the mutants that they inspire to follow them. Where you got, just an example, Magneto, Mystique, Xavier, Scott Summers, right? And even the episode, you see like a lot of the characters, you see the Morlocks. When they go to Genosha, you see the Murlocs. You see Nightcrawler. Madeline is there because she's like, I think she's like a advisor to the World United Nations, and they're trying to like find a way to coexist with mutants and stuff like that, right? And they, first tried to like take Magneto, and Magneto ain't having none of it. But then they tried to like shoot Magneto to steal his powers, and then Storm jumps in the way, and Storm loses her powers, and then she goes on like an arc of just self-discovery, because she's always wanted to be human. She's sick of tired of being treated like an other, right? Like all mutants and stuff like that. And she feels like that would go away if she wasn't a mutant. And although she is so sad that she's no longer a mutant, she's also thinking, maybe I've got a new life where I could be normal now, right? But that's not who she is, and that's her journey of discovery. And that's when she comes across Forge, and then she goes to on a mad expedition with Forge, finding self-discovery, confronting her fears of the darkness, confronting her fears of who does she want to be. Does she want to be a human? Does she want to be a mutant? Does she want to accept herself? Does she want to accept who and what she is? And when she does, she awakens and becomes like even more powerful than she already is. Because let's not forget, Storm is a Category 5 mutant, an Omega level threat, what the Sentinels call them, yeah. And a Category 5 mutant is a world level mutant where their powers can change the world. They could literally, actually change the world. They could actually destroy the world if they wanted to. That's how powerful they are. Iceman is a Category 5 mutant. Magneto is a Category 5 mutant. Storm is a Category 5 mutant. There's not many of them. There ain't many. But Storm is one of them. And she become even stronger, right? So yeah, man, it was crazy. And when they went to Genosha, you saw how amazing Genosha was. And then you saw like so many different mutants. You saw the Hellfire Club, which is Emma Frost and Sebastian Shaw. They showed so many mutants in Genosha, and Genosha looked so beautiful. The way the mutants were just celebrating, and they just wanted to live, man, and just be calm and just be happy and celebrating, bro. It was so nice, man, when they went to Genosha and you just saw everybody. You saw Nightcrawler. Oh man, the Murlocs. It was beautiful, bro. It was so nice, man. But then there was like a thing that was happening where Magneto said, I will accept your terms, where I will lead Genosha, a place where mutants come, and it will be peaceful. A refuge for mutants. I will liaise with the world government, and we will find peace. But don't let me down. Don't attack us. I am going to take this stance. Do not attack us. Do not hurt us anymore. But my condition is Rogue. I want Rogue. She has to be with me. She's a symbol. She can be a symbol with me. And a Rogue has to make the decision, and she chooses Magneto over Gambit. Because in the day, she does have romantic ties with Magneto. She can actually touch Magneto, because Magneto, he can actually alter his powers, you know, with his power of magnetism, where he cannot be affected by her touching him. And that's all she's wanted. She can't touch people because of her powers, because of her ability to suck the abilities and life out of anything or anyone that she touches. But Magneto can control it. He's so powerful. Don't know if he can do it indefinitely. I don't think it's indefinitely, but he can definitely do it, right? And that breaks Gambit's heart, right? And then there's kind of like a mad sequence that is happening when they're at a party and they're celebrating, and the mutants is all at all-time high, but you can feel that there's something, I don't know what it was, but it felt like something bad was going to happen. Like everything was just going too good. But the way the music was and the vibe, and then Madeline, and we've seen it before, man. It was kind of like that scene in like Mission Impossible 1 when they were in the first mission, right? And they realized when all the mutant IMF agents were starting to get killed off, they said, we've been compromised. Abort, abort, abort. Rachel. Abort. Rachel. Rachel. Rachel's been killed. Rachel. And then Ethan just goes off and he starts to really abort like where he is to try to find her. And then he is like a scream on his thing of someone else in the middle of being killed. And he's like, oh shit. Where everything is perfect 1 second. And then just there's an ominous vibe about the whole thing, the whole sequence of events, even though it's positive, we're winning, that the protagonists are winning, there is something ominous and you just can't shake it, right? They managed to portray that in this X-Men 97 in such an incredible way, man. And then all of a sudden, Master Mold and the Sentinels came and just nuked the whole of Genosha, where all the mutants had their guard at the absolute lowest. They were just in celebration. And it made me so sad, man. I really actually couldn't watch it after that. Like, I actually stopped watching because I binged all of it, yeah? But I stopped watching it for like a week and a half, right? Because like the way they just came out of nowhere and just killed off the mutants, mate, it wound me up, bruv. Like I actually couldn't watch it. I can watch it. After that, I tried to watch episode 7, 6, but I couldn't do it, man. I couldn't do it. I was feeling a ways after that episode, right? Yeah, and Cable tried to save them, but he couldn't because there's certain things that are always supposed to happen, and that absolute sadness and tragedy is one of those world events that is unstoppable. You cannot stop it, right? And there was even a bit in it where after everyone, like so many musicians have been killed, like Sebastian Shaw had been killed, we believe Magneto had been killed, Gambit, right? He's the one that actually saved everybody because he's the one that destroyed that the massive master mode replica that was just nuking everybody with his powers of of this telekinetic ability where he could charge anything up to an infinite level, yeah, because it stabbed him, right, because he was trying to stop it, and that's when he charged it up right in front of him, and then he used with everything he got, and it just nuked the Sentinel, but it nuked him too, right? And even when Rogue went to him and found him, she actually could touch him, and he had nothing. There was no power for her to suck out of his body. There was no pulse. There was no warmth. He was gone, bro. Mate. And then even when they went to look for survivors, you saw Scott and Jean were going underneath the rubble, but they had to go through, like, very gently because the people were underneath the rubble and they just couldn't find anybody. All they were finding were bodies, and you saw the bodies of the Hellfire Club members, you saw the bodies of the Murlocs, so many mutants that you'd got to know leading up to it, and now you see them dead. Oh, damn. But as they were going, Jean said, I sent somebody alive, and they found Emma Frost, bro. Emma Frost was alive, and then Jean managed to get Emma Frost out and lift her up out of the rubble, yeah, with her telekinesis abilities, and that's when Emma had awakened her dormant ability where she could make her skin as hard as diamond. So that means up to that point, she didn't know she could make herself into diamond form, right? And it was when you saw Scott's reaction to actually finding one person alive, bro. The way he was crying, man, right? And it was just like so much relief that I found somebody made it, right? Mate, that got me, bro. Like the way his reaction to just, I found somebody. I found Emma. Emma's alive. Thank goodness. We got Emma. Right? Mate, that got me, bro. Man, even I had to pause it. I didn't replay it, right? Because, like, you know, we're watching it and it's like a bit much, right? But yeah, I mean, so it was like tough, man. And after that, the next episode, even the intro sounded like a sad death funeral version of the intro, right? The intro music reflected the mood, sadness and misery. And it took me like a while to come back to. I said about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks before I came back. But then when I put in episode 6, it was totally different. They were in the Shi'ar Empire, which I was actually glad about, man. Because the reason I couldn't face episode 6 was because I didn't want to look at the mutants again after that tragedy of the way they just orchestrated the attempt to destroy everybody in Genosha, right? And they started in the Shi'ar Empire. Straight off the bat, we saw Ronan taking on the Shi'ar Empire Imperial Guard. We saw Gladiator, right, just fighting against Ronan. I mean, it was a one-sided beatdown. Beating Ronan and the Destroyer and the Kree, right? And that was interesting. And then you found out that Xavier was still alive. He faked his death so that he could go with Lilandra to the Shi'ar Empire. They could be together because he loved her. And he know that the X-Men need to move on. And he wants to set them free, right? And so he had like reasons why he did that. And then there was like a bit where They said, we can be here. The Shia council and the whole nation said, you can be here with us, human, to Xavier, but you have to completely forget about humans. Forget about mutants. Delete all your memories, because they had like a device where they could delete the memories. If you can delete your memories of all the X-Men, your time on Earth, and commit yourself to being here in the Shia Empire, we'll accept you. You know, and he needed time to think about that. And there was even a part where he was talking with Gladiator, and they were having like an intellectual conversation, and it was so good because they were actually showing Gladiator in a different perspective, where he was like an intellectual human being. He's not just, you know, the super Shia Empire Superman. He's more than that. And they showed it, man. He was having an intellectual conversation with Professor Charles Xavier. And it was so good. Just that few minutes of him talking. You get to see his character. The way his face expressions. His voice tones as he was talking to Charles. Man, they did so well with this show, bro. I just cannot believe it. Right, and even in this episode, as I said, this was an episode where they show like a lot with Storm, and she was like going like on a journey to like discover herself, as journey self-discovery, and she become like more powerful actually after she went through her trial with Forge, because she found out that Forge was actually the one that helped create the serum that was in the bullet that steals mutants' abilities, that just removes the mutants' abilities from them, but he didn't mean for it to be used in that way, right? So yes, that was crazy, man. And even like when they were going forward, because they showed the funeral of Magneto and Gambit. Everybody was there except for Rogue, and everyone was kind of like, some people like kind of pissed that Rogue was there. Jubilee was really upset, but Rogue was dealing with her sadness in another way. She was going on militant. She was taking her ass to every single military base that she had the tech for the master modes, or where that guy Trask was, the guy that actually created master mode and the Sentinels to like kill mutants, subjugate mutants, and she went on militant. Like she weren't screwing around, bro. Like it basically, you could even in the scene where she was like her fight scene against like the tanks and all the weaponry of the humans and stuff like that, bro. You could tell that the writers and the animators, they played themselves on Marvel vs. Capcom. You saw them do like Rogue's punch super. She did Rogue's grab. They did Rogue's dive kick. They did Rogue's sweep. They watched themselves. They played themselves some Marvel vs. Capcom. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 too. Right? X-Men versus Street Fighter. 100%. Yeah. But yeah, it was so good, man. And then yeah, she managed to find like some information. They said where Trask could be. She went there, and Captain America was there. And then even Rogue was like, "What is America's policeman doing here?" Right? And he's like, "I'm here to find Trask as well, but I can't let you go on a rampage where you've been going on a rampage. I help you, but you got to stop doing what you're doing, Rogue." They went down to some secret bunker, found some mad information about, you know, some operation that they were trying to do with like Sentinels and stuff like that, and Trask and a new organization. And Rogue was like, okay, well, on to the next one. You're gonna help us. You side with the mutants. You know these guys are going on with some absolute skullduggery, and you side with the mutants, right? And Captain America was like, and Rogue's like, right? And he's like, look, my hands are tied with this one. And she's like, is that right? And she took his shield, right? Because Rogue was holding his shield that whole time, right? Because he threw the shield at her to throw it into the sand. right, to say like, I'm here, right? And she took the shield, and she took it from him. And when he said that his hands are tied, which means he can't side with them, he's not going to be against them, but he's not going to be with them. And if push comes to shove, he has to choose a side. He's going to fight against the X-Men, the mutants. They were underneath the earth, by the way, in like an underground bunker. She just went through the earth, through the bunker with his shield, and she threw his shield into oblivion. So Captain America in this show minus a shield. Rogue was militant, man, in this show, man. But it was so good. It was so good, right? But yeah, it was so good, man. And then like it was like there was like a thing in it where you found out that Magneto was alive. He wasn't dead after all. He was being captured, and you saw like the main bad guy was a guy called Bastion, and he was working in collusion with Sinister, and Sinister was actually the one that orchestrated the attack against Genosha. That guy's a piece of shit, man. Like, fucking Sinister, man. Right? And then you found it was Bastion. You found out from Trask, because Trask was the one that actually told them. Because when they found Trask was like, I didn't want to do that. My goal was not to commit a genocide and just wipe out an entire race. That was not what I was trying to do. I was trying to control the mutants, not obliterate them off the face of this planet, right? And he tried to like delete himself, jumped off a building, but Rogue stopped him and said, look, we need some information from you. Can you help us? And he's like, I can't, I've got nothing to give. I've got no information, I've got nothing to give you. And Rogue was like, same, sugar. And then she let go of him. Like, Rogue actually dropped him off the building. Well, he kind of like jumped off himself. Rogue just stopped him. But then after he said he can't help them, he's got no information, additional information he can give them, she just let his ass go. But then he turned into like an Omega Sentinel, and that's when like the threat changed, and then you found out that it was about Bastion and Omega Sentinels, and basically he created like some type of serum where humans get affected and get turned into hybrid Omega Sentinels or Nimrod Sentinel variants. I don't even know what they were. And it was just kind of like some crazy thing, and the whole world was being taken over by Omega Sentinels. And then you saw all over the world, you saw Captain America, you saw Alpha Flight, you saw Omega Red, you saw Iron Man, you saw Doctor Strange, you saw they went through like a lot of characters. You saw a lot of different I think you saw Daredevil as well in it, Black Panther, because the Sentinels came to Wakanda. You saw Okoye and Black Panther just standing there, T'Challa, while the Omega Sentinels were trying to get into Wakanda. They went in, man. They went in, and there was like a philosophical journey, right, with Magneto, Eric, and Charles. Right, because Charles was trying to help Magneto, because Charles came back to Earth, and he's just trying to help him and just say, we can't, there's the vicious cycle of, yes, the humans attack us. They kill us because they're afraid of us. And then we retaliate by attacking and killing them. Where does it end? Where does the vicious cycle end? Magneto's not having a bar of it. He's like, look what they did to my family. Look what they did to me. Look what they're doing to us. They hate us. They started it. I'm just finishing it. Right? And it's just like, man, it's some deep between Magneto. You see why Magneto and Xavier, they want to get to the same place, but they have different paths to get there, man. And that's why these two, their whims, everything and everyone is being sucked in to the ideologies of these two people. Max and Eric. I said Max and Eric. Because Max Eisenheart, is it? Max Eisenheart, Eric Lyncher. Yeah, that's what I said, Max. Because when they said, "Do you remember your real name?" That's when Magneto was like, "I'm Max Eisenheart." Yeah, Charles and Max. Yeah. So yeah, man, it was like really good, and even the ending of it was like crazy, man. Because like what happened was they were on asteroid M, and they initiated a thing called the Magneto Protocol, where essentially they just nuke the location where Magneto is. They nuke it out of existence. They did that because Magneto was on a thing called asteroid M after they shut down the entire Earth and after they'd beaten Bastion, right? They were teleported. All the mutants, well, most of them were teleported to different timelines, right? And then you saw like a timeline where in the current timeline, right, current Forge, Bishop, Jubilee, and Sunspot were in our timeline. And then in Egypt, 3000 BC, you saw Storm, I think it was Storm, Nightcrawler, Xavier, Beast, Magneto, and Rogue. They were in that timeline, and it was in Egypt, and they came across somebody fighting against people, and you find it was like his name was Inuit, and it was it was a young Apocalypse. Oh my gosh. And then there was another page, and then you had like Scott and Jean. They got teleported to the future, 3000, 39,060 AD. And then they saw like, they come across like a people in the future, and you saw a young Cable. Oh, and then it ended, and you're like, oh my gosh, mate. X-Men 97 was peak, man. From beginning to end, absolute god-like storytelling. The whole show, for every single episode, made you feel something. Mate, and they showed a lot of characters as well. As I said before, you saw Daredevil, you saw Iron Man. They even showed Cloak and Dagger in it. You saw Alpha Flight. You saw Psylocke. Bastion was like the main villains. Like Bastion and Sinister were like the main villain of this whole goddamn catastrophe. And they actually, I like the way they beat Sinister. Yeah, it was Jean Grey. After Cable basically like used his powers to like hurt Jean Grey, some of the Phoenix power that was in her managed to come back, take Sinister, and suck every single mutant gene that he had stolen and put into his body to make himself the way he is. And he just looked like a shriveled up raisin. I love that. I can't stand Sinister. He's a piece of garbage, right? So yeah, it was just amazing, man, just seeing all the different types of mutants, and they even showed like some part when they were fighting Magneto, and it was like one of the climaxes, not the main climaxes, but one of the main climaxes where Wolverine stabbed Magneto, and then Magneto ripped all the adamantium out of Wolverine's body. And that is a legendary moment. That is where Bone Claw Wolverine comes from. And they actually showed it. What Magneto was so pissed off. He's like, you tried to kill me? You tried to kill me, you piece of shit, you animal? And then he just ripped the adamantium out of Wolverine's body. And the scream, the wicked scream that it haunted me. I can hear the scream right now that Wolverine made, that howling that Wolverine made when Magneto ripped the thing out of his body, man, the adamantium out of his body, man. X-Men 97. Peak storytelling. peak X-Men. Bro. They did well. They did well, man. I've got to give credit, first of all, to the director and the writer. Yeah. Bill the mayor or something like that. They need to rehire that guy ASAP. I don't care what the dispute was. Suck it up. Swallow your pride. Rehire that guy. Rehire the team, the animation team as well, because not one person can do the whole thing, but he's the one that wrote it and directed it. Let's see what's going to happen. We know we have got at least a year for them to come with season 2. So we've got at least a year until season 2 comes. Which means we've got over a year where Marvel can make some decisions. They can see that this works. I bought a subscription with Disney Plus just for this show. I got Disney Plus. I've only watched, I'm sure there's other good things on there, but I literally only bought Disney Plus for X-Men. It works. This shows them that they can do X-Men movies. And none of that leather nonsense. Oh, we can't make superheroes with yellow and blue. We can't have characters walking around, Jean Grey, in an all green outfit. We can't have one of the main protagonists walking around in all blue with a yellow or gold visor. Cyclops. Yes, you can. Absolutely, you can. Right? And that's the reason, even when you look at the Deadpool Wolverine, the whole reason. Hey, look, Hugh Jackman Wolverine, cool. It's always been cool. But I've never wanted to see Hugh Jackman Wolverine. Logan. I've always wanted to see Wolverine. And it seems like we're finally getting him in Wolverine and Deadpool. We're finally getting it. We're finally getting the Wolverine that we have wanted to see for 20 years. Hear that? It's been 20 years that they've not given it to us because they've been afraid of their own goddamn shadow and said we can't do it. It can't be done. Same reason when they never did a Wonder Woman. They said, oh, we can't do a Wonder Woman. Characters that work on screen having the yellow and the blue and the red. It doesn't work. We can't do it. And along comes Zack Snyder with Wonder Woman and does it. We can't do Superman. We just don't know how to do Superman. Along comes Zack Snyder and he does it. They can do it. We can't do it. Along comes Ryan Reynolds, who has a lot of creative control. And then you already see his Deadpool, and we're doing the yellow and blue. It works. Believe in the intellectual property that you're utilizing. I want to see what they're gonna do with X-Men. The next season's should be good, should be amazing, and this is paving the way for the X-Men movies. Although I'll be happy never to see an X-Men movie, and I'd be happy just to see all in animation form. Not 3D, animation form. Warriors, that's my review of X-Men 97. Absolute peak viewing. As I said, I will give the whole show as a whole 10 out of 10. Easiest 10 out of 10 I could give any show. I've got no disputes, no regrets of that rating. It deserves it. It earned it. They had a incredibly high bar to reach, and they not only reached it, they passed it. You can only get there where the team that works on the show, they're about that life and they care. Warriors, as I said once again, thank you for tuning in. Take care, stay blessed, and I'll catch you next one. Laters.